Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much.
Join us at Like Learning School and experience a transformative education journey. Visit our website at www.likelearningschool.com or contact us at +2348085095144 to learn more and get started today.
Okay, you remember what I told you about the levels of an organism? We said something about the levels of an organism. Let me remind you. It's here. It starts from what?
It starts from cell,
It starts from the cell. The cell is the building block, the unit or
then
building block.
tissue, then organ, then organ system, then organism.
Exactly, beautiful. So a number of cells, similar cells that perform the same function is called a tissue, isn't it?
Yes.
Then organ is a number of similar tissues that perform the same function. Organ system is a number of organs that perform a similar function. Organism is a group of organ systems. And I gave you an example. For instance, the human organ system, you have different organs that are responsible. For instance, the stomach, the gut, the mouth, the tongue, the small intestine, the large intestines, and several other ones. Okay, just there are many other systems we talked about, many other ones. If you check the notes of the human system. Now, the building block, the starting structure of an organism is a cell. Just like I told you, when you want to build a house, you start with a block, isn't it? You put one block on top of another, you form a wall, and then you have maybe 4 walls that forms a room, and then you have a number of rooms that form a flat. Okay, 4 walls form a room, a number of rooms, a flat, a number of flats, a house, a number of houses, maybe an estate, a city, different things. So the starting building block of any living organism is a cell. So the cell is a structure. We say the cell is what? Define it. Read the definition.
The cell is the structural and functional unit of living organisms.
Yes, this building block, this unit, the starting point of a living organism, structural and functional unit of living organism or living organisms.
Yes.
Okay, I hope that's clear.
Yes. Yes, that's clear.
Beautiful. All right, there are 2 types of cells. All living organisms can be classified into 2 types of cells. There is the prokaryotic, the one I wrote in green, and then there's the eukaryotic, the one I wrote in red. Now, can you give me examples of prokaryotic cells? I gave examples here. Give me examples of prokaryotic cells.
E.g. bacteria and
Archaea. Yes, archaea. Yes. Bacteria has a prokaryotic cell. Archaea has a prokaryotic cell. Now, what are prokaryotic cells? Prokaryotic cells lack a nucleus, another membrane enclosed organelles. In other words, organelles that are covered by a membrane. When we start looking at the type of parts of a cell, you will see what we call a membrane for a cell membrane. Can you see what I just circled? I will zoom it in later. Did you see that?
Yes.
All of these things you are seeing inside here. Okay, let me zoom it in. I will zoom it out again. Let me zoom it in. I want you to see it properly. That's a cell membrane. The cell membrane is like the surrounding, the boundary between the cell and other cells. The cell membrane determines what goes into the cell, what goes into the cell, or what comes out. Did you get that? It's like the boundary.
Yeah.
For eukaryotic cells, Example, plant, animal, fungi, and prostate cells. Those are eukaryotic cells. They have a cell membrane that covers organelles, that covers the nucleus and other organelles. Organelles are the different parts, all the things you find inside a cell. Organelles. Organelles is simply a word for little organ. Organelles or little organ. You know, small organ. That's simply what it means literally. Okay? So that you get it fully, because it's very easy. It's very easy. See, the organelles are all of these things. Mention the organelles. Mention them. Mention all these things I circled.
Cell membrane,
Okay, we call it mitochondria. Mitochondria. Some of them are difficult to spell, pronounce, but it's mitochondria is an organelle.
Yeah.
Nucleus is an organelle. Cytoplasm is an organelle. Ribosomes. All of these things are covered inside by the membrane, isn't it?
Yes.
When you have these organelles with a nucleus covered by the membrane, we say it is a eukaryotic cell. A eukaryotic cell has a nucleus. As you can see, it contains a nucleus with the organelles covered inside by the nucleus. Contains nucleus and other organelles enclosed in a membrane. That is eukaryotic cell. Give me examples of eukaryotic cells again.
Plant, animal, fungi,
Animal, plant, protists. We talk about all of that when we get to the different classification of living things. Okay. So the two broad classification of cells are prokaryotic. Prokaryotic, example, bacteria and archaea, do not have a nucleus and other organelles covered by the membrane. An example is bacteria and archaea. Then eukaryotic. Eukaryotic, it contains a nucleus and other organelles that are covered by a membrane. Of course, an example is animal cells, plant cells, and all of that. Okay, so when you come to plant cells and animal cells, by the way, what's a plant cell? Is a plant cell a eukaryotic or a prokaryotic cell?
Prokaryotic.
Eukaryotic. Plant cell is a eukaryotic cell. What about animal cell?
Prokaryotic.
It's also eukaryotic. Eukaryotic. Plant is eukaryotic.
Oh, sorry. Eukaryotic.
Eukaryotic.
I'm sorry.
Plant is eukaryotic. Animal is eukaryotic. Fungi is eukaryotic. Protists is eukaryotic. They all have, yes, eukaryotic.
But I thought fungi is a one bacteria.
No, fungi is not a bacteria. Tell me again. You said you thought fungi is what?
A microorganism.
There are fungi that can be seen, like yeast, like mushroom. Mushroom. Can you see a mushroom?
Yes.
Mushroom can be seen. Mushroom is a fungi. Yeast is a fungi, and they can all be seen. There are also fungi that are very small. Did you hear that? There are fungi that are big enough that you can actually see them, like mushroom. The mold. Have you left bread for a long time and then you see some stuff covering it?
No.
Yeah, mold is a fungi too. That mold that when it gets bad, you see some greenish thing forming on the bread when it has been left for a long time, maybe in a dustbin or a bean can or in the house. Mold is also a fungi. Some fungi can be big enough for the eye to see, or is big enough to be seen with the naked eye. Some are very tiny. You need a microscope. Okay, like a mushroom is big enough. So plant, animal, fungi, protists, are all eukaryotic cells. Remember what makes them eukaryotic? They have a nucleus, they contain nucleus and other organelles that are enclosed in a membrane. And I said the organelles are all those other parts you see inside the membrane, like little organs in the membrane. Examples are mitochondria, nucleus, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and many other ones, lysosomes. We're going to look at them very quickly. We discuss some other things in more details. Okay, so that's about the two classifications of cells. Prokaryotic, remember, lack a nucleus and other organelles that are enclosed in a membrane. Example is bacteria and archaea. Eukaryotic, example plant, animal, fungi, and protists, contain nucleus, and other organelles, all of them enclosed in a membrane. You find all the other organelles inside the membrane. None of them is. They are all covered inside the membrane for eukaryotic. Okay. All right. So let's see. You are usually taught things about plant and animal because you can see them often. But these are not the only living things we have. You have other living things, protists, fungi. We look at all of that in details. Okay, let's compare the structure of animal and plant cells. By the way, I also need to tell you something about what we call unicellular and multicellular organism. Have you heard of that before? Have you heard of unicellular?
No.
You can also classify cell as unicellular. Other classifications. Other classifications. You can classify cells as unicellular. Unicellular. Uni means only one cell. Did you hear that? So of course it will be very small. Unicellular, which means only one cell. And then an example is bacteria. So a bacteria is a unicellular organism. Usually micro, very small. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that is small is a unicellular organism. It may have more than one cell and still be very small. Then the other classification is multicellular. Multicellular, we have many cells. Example is plant and animal cells. Plant cells and animal cells are multicellular because they contain many cells. Billions and billions of cells. Do you know there are billions and billions of cells in your body? If not trillions. So plants and animals are multicellular because they contain several cells in them. Bacteria is unicellular. All right, okay. You can also classify cells, organisms. You cannot classify organisms based on whether it has only one cell, unicellular, example bacteria, or whether it has many cells, multicellular, example plant and animal. Okay, now let's look at the different parts of a cell. As you can see in this diagram, you can see some of the parts already. Let me show it again. Tell me the parts you can identify already. Tell me the parts. Mitochondria. Nucleus. Cytoplasm. Don't worry, you will get used to those pronunciations.
Ribosome.
Ribosomes, Cell membrane.
Ribosome.
Okay, so those are some of the parts of a plant, an animal cell. That's for an animal cell. Now let's see other parts you have in plant cells. See a plant cell. Plant cell has more parts. Mention them.
Cell wall.
Cell wall.
Mitochondria.
You have mitochondria. You have a
Vacuole.
vacuole. Okay. You have cytoplasm too. You have cell membrane.
Cryoplasts.
Chloroplasts.
Chloroplasts.
You have the ribosomes.
Ribosomes.
You have the nucleus.
Cell membrane.
We've talked about my vacuole, a large vacuole, cell wall, and all of that. Okay, you will notice that the plant cell has a more definite shape. Unlike an animal cell that has an irregular shape. See the animal cell, the shape is irregular, isn't it?
Yes.
But see the plant cell, it has a more definite shape. See the plant cell down. It has a more definite shape. And there are other things in the plant cell that you don't find in the animal cell. Let me even see if you can easily tell. Though it may be difficult for you to see it immediately.
Chloroplasts.
Oh, good. In fact, that we are going to be circling the things that, let me circle only the things that you don't find in animal cells, but you can find them in plant cells. Remember what we have in this animal cell here: mitochondria, nucleus, cytoplasm, ribosomes, cell membrane. Okay, let's go to the plant cell and see some of the additional things the plant has that you don't find in the animal cell. I will mark them.
Cell wall.
Okay, the plant cell has cell wall, which an animal cell does not have.
Chloroplasts.
The plant cell has chloroplast, which an animal cell does not have.
Vacuole.
They have
Vacuole,
both.
not nucleus.
They have it has a large vacuole. Usually we say large vacuole. You don't find animal cell. Both of them have mitochondria.
Yes.
Both of them have cell membrane. Both of them have nucleus, ribosomes. So I will just circle these ones that plant cell has alone. I'll circle it. Circle it. You will notice that the cell wall covers the cell membrane. After the cell membrane, you see the cell wall. Can you see the cell membrane? The cell membrane is this part I'm going to draw in red, this whole part for the plant cell. I'm going to, all this wall, all this covering that I'm drawing in red is a cell membrane. Is what?
Is
This,
the wall.
the cell membrane. All these ones I'm drawing in red is a cell membrane for the plant. That's a cell membrane. Cell membrane, see it. But something else is still covering the cell membrane. There's something still covering the cell membrane like a wall. That is the cell wall. What I will do is to paint it in black so that you see it very well. I'm going to repaint it in black. This is something else that is covering the cell membrane. I'm going to repaint it in black. You see, it's still covering the cell membrane. That is what we call what? What do we call?
Cell wall.
Cell wall. You know the plant has it, an animal cell does not have it. The animal cell only stops at cell membrane. I will go back to animal cell for you to see. But when you come to plant cell, you still have this cell wall. You still have this cell wall covering the cell membrane. Check out the plant's animal cell so you see the difference. The animal cell only stops with cell wall, cell membrane. It doesn't have a cell wall. Did you see that?
Yes.
All right. That is that for some of the differences, similarities and differences between plant cells. So can you see, can we compare? Let's see the similarities. What do they have in common? That's similarities.
They both contain a nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria,
Ribosomes and a
ribosomes, and cell
membrane.
membrane.
Now, what are the special things plant has that animals don't have?
Cell wall, vacuole,
Large
and
vacuole.
chloroplast.
Anytime you're talking about vacuole, just include large vacuole and chloroplast. Now, what other thing did you notice about plant cell?
Plant cells have more irregular shape and are larger.
Larger. Plant cells have a more regular shape and larger than animal
So
cells.
I have a question.
Good. Go ahead and answer your question.
Why are animals usually larger than plants?
Are animals usually larger than plants like that? Are you bigger than a tree? Are you bigger than a big tree? It depends on the animal you're talking about, though. A rat is an animal. A tree is a plant. And a tree is bigger than a rat. So it depends on the animal. By the way,
How come the biggest animal is bigger than the biggest plant?
no, not really. It depends on the plant. If you see a very large tree, but remember, what we are saying is the cell, not necessarily the entire organism. The animal might have just a fewer cells or more cells. That an animal is big could mean that it has more cells, more in number. Okay, let's even use a simple example. If you have an animal that has 800, it's just an example, 800 cells, that's for an animal. Even though those cells are smaller in size, and then you have a plant that has only 50 cells, assuming those cells are slightly bigger. So overall, which one will be bigger? Look at this. The animal has 800 cells, though they are not so big. Each of them not so big. And then you have a plant that has only 50 cells, slightly bigger in size. Individual. The animal will be bigger. So it depends on the number of cells, okay? Not necessarily the size of one cell. Does it make sense?
Yes.
It's not, what makes something big is not necessarily the size of one cell, but the number of cells. So for you to grow up, you have to multiply. Your cells will keep multiplying. That's what we call cell division. You will learn that. If you have to grow up from a baby to an adult, your cells must be multiplying. So an adult has more cells, more in number than a baby. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because a lot of cells have multiplied. Okay, those are the differences and similarities. So we'll just look at the functions and then we can continue some other time or look at some other aspect later. What's the function of the nucleus? Very quickly.
It stores hereditary information as it contains DNA inside chromosomes, which take part in cell division.
Some of these things, hold on, some of these things you will.
I think I know what cell division is.
Good. Like the cells.
Cell division is sharing the cell into two parts.
Exactly.
And every cell keeps on growing after some time. So every time they keep on multiplying, keep on growing, we keep on getting bigger and bigger.
Beautiful.
But sometimes some cells may go bad due to old age, and if they continue spreading, if these old cells continue dividing, then that means it will cause cancer.
All right, there are some cells that are cancerous or even malignant, especially if they begin to malfunction. We do all that, but you have an idea. That's cool. So when we say something is hereditary, it means you took those features from your parents. Like we say, oh, he looks like his father, or he looks like his mother. There are features you picked from your parents. All of that is because of what we call DNA, found inside chromosomes. And those chromosomes are found in the nucleus. So the nucleus contains chromosomes. which itself contains DNA. DNA is like the genetic information. Well, we'll talk more about that. It's something that tells the offspring, whatever is born, to look like what gave birth to it. When you were born, you didn't look like a goat. It's not an insult. It's just an explanation. Because a goat did not give birth to you. You took the features of a human being. Now, anything born by a goat will also take the features of the goat. All of that will be as a result of the DNA passed on from the parents to the offsprings. The DNA is found inside the chromosome. Where did I say the DNA is found?
In the
chromosome. And the chromosomes are found in the nucleus. So it stores hereditary information. In fact, it is like the brain of the cell. The nucleus is the brain. It is what actually controls the activity of the cell. It is the thinking part of the cell. And of course, I already told you that the chromosomes contain what?
DNA.
Which stores genetic traits. Like you have the trait of a human being because human beings gave birth to you. The mitochondria is the powerhouse. That is where respiration, where respiration takes place to release energy. You know, you need to release energy to move around. It's in the mitochondria, all of that happens. Then the large vacuole you usually find in plant cells contains excess water. You know, there's also what we call the nucleolus. Nucleolus, you find them inside the nucleus. And that is where ribosomes are made. It produces ribosomes. And what is the function of the ribosomes? To synthesize, build up protein. We'll talk more about that. I'm just telling you. There's also what we call endoplasmic reticulum. They transport materials within the cytoplasm. They are the things that carry materials around the cytoplasm. Then there's also what we call Golgi bodies or Golgi apparatus. You know, it also synthesizes, break down, or build up and distribute materials within the cells. There's the chloroplast. You know, you find chloroplast only in plant cells. Chloroplasts contain what we call chlorophyll, which helps in photosynthesis. Do you know photosynthesis?
Yes.
What's photosynthesis?
The making of plants, the using of light to make plants.
No, not to make plants, but you have an idea. The use of light to make food. How plants make their food using sunlight. You know.
I'm sorry. Sir, I made a mistake.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I meant fruit.
Food.
I simply said
Food. How plants make their food using sunlight. Of course, carbon dioxide plus water produces oxygen and glucose, which is the food. You know, in the presence of sunlight, you know, chlorophyll. Then lysosomes. Lysosomes is where you find respiratory enzymes. The other things about lysosome. Lysosome is also the garbage house, debris house, you know, where it breaks down waste products. We'll talk more about that. Then ribosomes. I already told you that ribosomes helps to produce protein. Then the cell wall provide protection, shape, and mechanical support for the plant cells. You don't find cell walls in animal cells. That's why plant cells, you know, a tree is stronger. Have you tried to bend a tree before? Can you easily bend a tree? Can you easily bend a tree?
No.
You can't easily bend the tree because of the cell wall. The cell wall makes the plant strong, rigid, gives them mechanical support. Then, of course, cell membrane, it serves as the boundary. It determines what goes in and what comes out of the cell. as I'm discussing this, what you will need to do is come back and look at the diagrams again. You see all of these things. Cell membrane determines what goes in or what comes out of the cell because it's a boundary. Apart from the cell wall that also covers the cell membrane, the cell wall, I've told you, is what helps to provides extra support, mechanical support to the plant. That's why the plant is strong. You can't easily bend the plant, but you can even bend an animal. Okay, there are other things like centrals and all of that, but we won't be looking at everything. I've told you the differences, before. All right, we look at all of these in details. We've seen the functions of, by the way, the cytoplasm is the jelly-like structure where every other organelle floats. I will explain. We will explain this in more details. Mitochondria is where energy is produced during respiration. I just need to say this. The bacterial cell, remember I told you bacterial cell is an example of prokaryotic. The organelles are not enclosed in a membrane. This is how a bacterial cell looks. It doesn't have a nucleus. Did you see any nucleus here?
No.
No nucleus. Though it has what we call loop of DNA. We'll talk more about that. So you can see some of the other parts we talked about. Like the cytoplasm, where all the other organelles float in, and the different parts, the large vacuole that contains water, and so on.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Like Learning School, your premier online education platform. At Like Learning School, we are dedicated to helping students and learners unlock their full potential, providing them with the foundation, support, and guidance they need for academic excellence. Our platform caters to two main target audiences. Firstly, we work with school children of all ages, offering academic follow-up and accountability partnerships. Our seasoned tutors provide personalized attention to ensure students stay on track and reach their goals. Secondly, we support students and learners who are preparing for internal, external, entrance, or professional examinations. We offer comprehensive and well-structured support to help them achieve outstanding performance in their exams. Our robust virtual courses are designed to keep students engaged and motivated. With interactive videos showcasing our teaching sessions, students actively participate in the learning process, making education enjoyable and effective. But that's not all. We believe in personalized education. Our students have access to personalized tutorial sessions, whether online, physical, or hybrid, tailored to their unique learning needs. Join us at Like Learning School and experience a transformative education journey. Visit our website at www.likelearningschool.com or contact us at +234 808 509 5144 to learn more and get started today.